on the last clearing, the ancestral clearing that went back so far, it was like I had this sensation or vision of like muddy water, like, and the water, the muddiness coming out of the water,
Oh, I love
like in
that.
my energy field, like it being murky, and then that, like it was all through it, and then that just kind of like it cleared the
Yeah,
field. Um,
I love it.
so it was more like a broader thing. It was different how I felt the other things.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel definitely lighter and more spacious, like we talked about earlier.
So we're going to do a lovely emotion code clearing for you, Cynthia. And have you had any emotion code work done before?
No, I haven't. I'm excited to try
Oh,
it.
you've heard of it though, haven't you?
I have heard of it. Yeah, I know people that do it. I've never had it done.
Brilliant. Oh, I'm so excited. I love bringing it to people that haven't sort of encountered it before. I've actually got on my shelf there, I think it is, the emotion code book. Just a quick overview. The emotion code was an energetic, sort of quantum energetic clearing method created by Dr. Bradley Nelson. He wrote the book. For anyone that wants to do this, you buy the book, the whole technique's in there. Anybody can do this with a little bit of practice. So Dr. Brad was a chiropractor, and what he found was that when he did manipulations on people's bodies, often they would also have an emotional reaction. They might feel emotional, they might start crying, or they might have a like a traumatic memory come up they'd forgotten. And so he came up with this idea that we hold these trapped emotions in our bodies from when we've gone through difficult life events. Most of the time we process those emotions. They're like weather, they sort of come into our system, do their thing, go. But occasionally the subconscious mind thinks, do you know, it either thinks I need to hand this on to future generations, so it traps that emotion, or it thinks my human's going through too much right now. They can't process it, so it holds it on for a later time. And so these are like balls of energy that are vibrating in your body, in your system. And over time, the cells and structures in your body, they're like little tuning forks. So they start to vibrate along with that energy, that emotional energy. And so the cells become imbalanced, your body becomes imbalanced. And they'll put out a signal to say, help me, I've gone out of alignment, I'm imbalanced, I need some help from you. And a symptom is like a signal. That's the signal. So if you've got trapped emotion in your knee might just start to hurt a little bit. And if you leave it over time, the signal might get louder. So the symptom might get worse. So worse. That discomfort might become stronger and stronger and stronger. And because you're not listening, you're not sort of helping them. So then Dr. Brad licensed that out at some point for people to train, and I've trained as a practitioner in the emotion code method. I'm going to get connected into your energy field temporarily with your permission, and that's what's known as entanglement in quantum physics. So humans have this lovely way where we can temporarily step out of our own energy and into that of another to be able to help them. I'm going to temporarily become you, really. And what I'll do is then I'll be asking your subconscious mind with muscle testing, which is biofeedback. Some people call it kinesiology. I'll be asking yes no questions. So, is there a trapped emotion that's contributing to this? And then I'll muscle test on the chart to find out what kind of trapped emotion it is, because there's 6 or 7 different kinds, and what the trapped emotion is. And then usually we can clear it. Sometimes we need to know a little bit more information. Some of these trapped emotions, they like to have their spotlight, their little moment of fame and tell their story. But most of the time we can just find it and release it. I'll be releasing it with a magnet. I've literally just got a fridge magnet there. And so I'm using energy to pull out the energy of those trapped emotions as well. We're sort of pulling it out. So they're good things to release and start
Very good.
to clear the
Sounds very
backlog.
good.
And we all have a backlog. People always say, well, how many have I got? I don't know. I don't know. Everyone's unique, and every single
A lifetime of them.
yeah. If you're 10, you probably won't have as many as if you're 50 because you've had less, you know. So it's a very personal thing. Some people have had quite an even life, not too many bumps in the road. So they would probably have less than someone whose life, like my life, it's been like a big roller coaster, one thing after another, you know. So I probably got like tens of thousands of them. So it's just a personal thing. And each trapped emotion is one moment in time. So you could have multiple trapped emotions come up of the same thing, multiple fears come up, but one might be from when you were 5, and one might be from when you were 25, and one might be from when you were 50. Each one is that one single unique moment from a unique event that you've encountered. Okay. So it doesn't mean that if we find fear on you and we clear it, that's all the fear you've ever had and you're never going to feel it again. No, that's one instance that we're releasing. Any questions so far?
No, I
Okay.
love your explanation though. It makes a lot of sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. I might have taken a lot of it from the book from Dr. Brad and just keep repeating it, but yeah, I think he gives very clear sort of descriptions of things. So just quickly to show you the chart, just share my screen there. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
So this is the chart that I'm using, and I'll be muscle testing, and I muscle test like this. Some people use what's called ring in ring. You can muscle test on other people. So if you were here, I could muscle test on your arm by pressing down on it. And I've been doing this for 4 years now. My fingers are like when you drive, they just go automatically. I'm not consciously aware. And apart from the answer, they do their thing. So that's what I'm doing off screen here. So the first thing we need to do is get connected up energetically. I'm just going to take a little quiet moment. I'm going to ask for some help from a higher power. Whatever your higher power is, just ask, or set the intention that you're going to release whatever's needed. It literally just takes a moment. I can do that now. That's it. We're all hooked up now. Now you might find as we clear things, you feel something, you experience something, or you might not. Either way, it doesn't matter. Some people sit and they're like, I'm just sitting here like a little banana here, what's going on? But it's fine, it still works, whether you feel it or not, it really doesn't matter. Right, so we've had a little chat about what you wanted to work on today. The question I'm going to ask is to release the habit of eating late at night. Does that feel right for you?
Yes. And it doesn't even have to be that I feel hungry. I just want to eat late at
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
that sort of attraction, isn't it? Like I call it cupboard surfing.
Yeah, it's a habit.
Like
Yeah.
where you go and you do that, and then you go to the next cupboard and no,
Yeah.
try the fridge. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what I want, but I want something. Is
Yeah,
that
and it's not always driven by hunger. It's
yeah.
really
Okay. Great. So what happens is your subconscious, it knows everything about you. It's listening to our whole conversation. So even if I didn't ask the question, because of the intention and the chat we've had, it knows what you want to work on. So it will glean from what we've said the right thing today. I'm all connected in with you now. So I'm going to ask the question, is there a trapped emotion we can release for Cynthia now that's going to allow her to release this habit of eating late at night that she's got into? Yes, there is. So this, I'm going to call this cupboard surfing. This is resentment. We really do want to get rid of that. I think resentment is one of those very insidious type emotions. Do we need to know something else about this? Do we actually need to know a bit more? So did you trap this resentment, Cynthia? Was this before age 30? Was it age 20? Was it age 21? 24. You trapped this around age 28. Now, the age is kind of a 3-year window. It's 1 year either way. So it could be 27, 28, 29. It's an ish. Let's find out, do we need to know anything else about this? We actually don't need to know anything else about this. So happy to just release. So this is your first release. Have an intention of, I'm letting this go. I'm throwing it in the bin. Happy to let this go with love. And thank you know, just thanking these trapped emotions for all the lessons they've taught us, because I feel they are teachers along the way. So we're setting the intention to completely clear and release this resentment for Cynthia. Delete, 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 clear, clear, clear this resentment. We're completely releasing this. And we're transmuting it to love. That's gone. Woohoo! I always feel like I want a bell. Ding, ding. Did you feel anything with that one?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. I could feel stuff moving up and out. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay. I mean, you're so sensitive. You're so tuned in, like energetically. Anyway, so often people in that zone do feel the energies moving more.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next top priority that we need to clear for this cupboard surfing issue, Cynthia? Something else? Yes. Absorbed. Okay, this is interesting. This is an absorbed one. Absorbed trapped emotion. Oh, and just to say, with emotion code, you don't have to say a script. It literally, when Dr. Brad does it, he just swipes 3 or 10 times like this. Doesn't say anything. But for me, each practitioner has their own way. And for me, I like to say delete and clear. It feels like we're deleting a computer program, and that's just something that came into my practice at some point for some reason. So I use that. But you don't have to say anything. Okay. So this is absorbed. Yes, is it on A? Is it B? Is odd word? To B. It's absorbed pain. This is absorbed helplessness. So what an absorbed trapped emotion is, you've been with someone who's been feeling helplessness, the emotion of helplessness. And this is a very empathic kind of thing. And often with people that feel they're empaths, absorbed things come up a bit more often because we're so open and sensitive. So somebody around you has felt helplessness, an emotion of helplessness. You've empathized with them and also felt that helplessness, and you've kind of absorbed it from them. Okay. The other person may not have trapped it, or they may have done. There's another trapped emotion called shared, and that's when lots of people feel the same emotion about the same event and they all trap it. This one, the other person hasn't necessarily. If they have trapped it, it will also clear on them. Because this
Oh,
is
wow.
this is like a whole ball of energy. The energy clears on everybody that's holding it as one. Let's find a bit more out about this. This is absorbed helplessness. Was the person that you absorbed this from, were they male? Were they female? It was somebody male. And just to give you a bit of context, what age did this happen then? Was this before age 50? Around age 49, a bit closer to now. Was there anything significant going on in that time where you would have been with somebody male who's feeling helpless? Anything sort of come up for you in that zone?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, it could have been something to do with my husband, but I can't, offhand, no other male person is popping in specifically.
Okay, let's muscle test on that. Was this linked to your husband? That test's positive. There's something there. Probably most likely because obviously you're with your partner more than other people, aren't you? So yes. Do we need to know anything else about this? We don't need to know anything else. So we can literally just release this for you. So have the intention, we're just letting this go, throwing it in the bin. So we're setting the intention to completely clear and release this absorbed helplessness. We're clearing it for Cynthia and any other soul that are carrying this parcel of energy. Delete, 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 clear, clear, clear this absorbed helplessness. We're totally, completely clearing, releasing this. And we're transmuting it into love. I like to transmute things back into love because love is everything. You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm good. It's just, and
Good.
I like feeling the energy
Oh,
moving. I do
yeah,
love that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
I used
It's
to love
lovely.
getting Reiki from a woman that I was in the holistic center I worked in,
Mm,
because I could really like feel her energy, and it was amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it's
For me,
lovely.
it's like, instead of doing drugs, I would do energy, get
Yeah, I
energy
know what
work.
you mean.
Because I love that feeling of like being in another place, being in another space.
It's a lot better for you, I think, as well, isn't it? More natural. Okay. Sometimes there's such big energy shifts with things, especially if they're very deep dark, like maybe an inherited thing that goes back 20 generations or something, and a lot of suffering and sort of darkness there. Often I'll start burping when I'm clearing that. Yawning, it's very common. Sometimes my clients yawn, burp, cry. That's all energy moving out of the system. I don't know, have you encountered things like that for you?
Um, Yawning probably,
Yeah.
but on the Sacred Sexual Awakening Healing Retreat I was just on, one of the retreat leaders, when she was doing our life force movements in the morning, she was always burping. She's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, the energy's moving." She's just burping,
Yeah.
burping,
It's
burping. I was like,
it
"What's
was a surprise to me when I used to do it a lot more when I first started. I think my body was calibrating to this work, and it was every session, every release afterwards there'd be like a kind of a I always had to warn people because they sit there kind of like embarrassed and horrified. But not quite so much now, but sometimes it crops up there. Okay, so we're doing good here. So what is there something else we need to clear? And we want next biggest priority, please, for this cupboard surfing issue for Cynthia. This is nervousness. Do you ever find you feel nervous? Get much nervousness going on?
Yeah, but it's like I'm not always really aware of it, but it's probably like a low grade kind of in the background nervousness when I know there's things I still have to get done and I don't know how to do them, or
Yeah.
just I'm one of those people that keeps adding to the to-do list, and I like there not to be a lot on the to-do list, and I just keep adding, 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 and then
I
that
get
doesn't
it.
help. That doesn't help that feeling. I can tell you
No,
that.
totally. And the interesting thing about and the interesting stroke annoying thing about trapped emotions is that if you've got trapped nervousness in your system, you've always got a certain level of nervousness vibing in you. It might be a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10, but it's always there. And when you encounter situations where you would naturally feel nervous, you'll feel it more because it becomes enervated, it becomes energized, it gets peaked. So you'd feel the nervousness a lot more than you would if you didn't have this trapped emotion of nervousness. There's another good reason why we really need to get rid of these out of our systems. Do we need to know anything else about this? We actually don't. So let's just clear that. We're setting intention to clear and release this nervousness for Cynthia. Delete, delete. Okay, that's
I
fine.
wouldn't be surprised if that's ancestral, generational.
Sorry.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was generational, because like the nervousness thing.
You might have
Because
that if that's your instinct. That particular one, that was yours. So that was from birth to now. You might have some inherited nervousness as well. Let's see. So
it's my
is there,
mom, and I look back at her dad and certain habits they have, and I was like,
oh
oh,
yeah,
and then I start certain, and I was like,
yeah, it happens. It happens. Inherited. There are inherited trapped emotions that come up from time to time. So what's the next biggest thing that we need to clear on this cupboard surfing? Top priority, next top priority, something else. Oh, this is interesting. So these often come up when I first start working with people. These are inherited. It's like your subconscious goes into the little backlog to clear things out. So this is actually called a prenatal trapped emotion, and this is when you're inside your mum's tummy. What is this? Oh, interesting. Prenatal blaming. Delve a bit deeper. Did you absorb this from your mum? You did. So occasionally, very rarely, it can be from outside of mum. It could be from dad if there's been some strong emotions going on. This has actually come from your mum. So mum's felt blaming. You felt it as the little pip inside her, and you've trapped it. Let's find out what trimester did this happen. Was this in first trimester, second? third trimester of the pregnancy. Let's find out what life situation brought this blaming around then, just to get a little overview. What was going on with mom? Was it around physical? So what comes up is career or work, or if someone's not working, that's whatever their day-to-day duties were. Something's happened in that zone and there's some blaming going on there. Do you know anything, any stories about your mum when she was pregnant with you? You know of?
Oh yeah. Actually, she had dropped out of college. She had to
Okay.
drop out of school, and she couldn't finish college then. And she actually didn't finish college till after my dad divorced her, and she needed to get a job. She wasn't allowed to work while she was married.
Right.
She was, you know, back then they called them housewives, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so she literally, I remember that story. She got pregnant with me. She got pregnant fast, and she ended up having to drop out before she finished college.
Okay, so she was at college then when she was pregnant with you.
Yeah, she was quite young. Yeah.
Interesting.
She
Okay.
had me when she was 20.
Okay. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Lots of blaming going on there. Uh, do we need to know anything else about this? No, we've got a good lot of the story there. Is Mum still here on the planet? She's still here.
Yes.
Okay, so Mum will have trapped this, so this is going to clear on both you and her. So this is one way that clearing trapped emotions on us actually benefits others as well, because it's one piece of energy. Okay, so let's get rid of this. All right to clear, yes. So we're setting the intention to completely clear and release this prenatal blaming, and we're clearing it both for Cynthia and for Mum. Right. So is there something else we need to clear on this cupboard surfing issue? Yes. What's the next top priority that we need to clear? So where do we need to go? This is yours, so it's a common trapped emotion. This is actually heartache. There could be, from what you said about, we talked a little bit before we came on here about this seeking heart energy, which is when you've got a heart wall, energetic wall, bomb shelter around your heart, and your heart doesn't have access to joy, and it finds its way to joy through anything its human does that is pleasurable, such as cupboard surfing at night. So if you've had heartache, often a person that's got heartache, they feel like they've had maybe what's called a broken heart. It's likely that there's a heart wall in place as well. So that could all be kind of like playing into this as well. So it's good that that's come up. Do we actually need to know anything else about this? We don't need to know anything else. So let's just release it for you. We're setting the intention to clear and release this heartache for Cynthia. Delete, 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 clear, clear. That's like so when I clear certain things, sometimes I'll feel an essence of it. That's like that feels like a draining from my heart area out there. Did you feel anything on that one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, around my heart too. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
energy moving there.
Okay, so is there something else to clear on this cupboard surfing issue? Yes. What's the next biggest priority we need to clear here? Is this on the left? Is it shared? This is worry. Great one to get rid of. Do we need to know more? We need to know a bit more. So what age were you when you trapped this worry, Cynthia? So was this before age 30? Age 3. This is very young. Worry around age 2.
That is very young.
Yeah. What happens is often when we start working together, the subconscious will go back and start to clear this backlog from childhood and then teens, and taking out the ones that are relevant to what we're working on, and just sort of clearing those out. Do we need to know anything else about this worry? No. Can you even remember being 2? Can you remember back that far?
I don't really.
No. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't even remember before going to high school.
You know what happened after my dad left? It was very traumatic the way my dad left the marriage and the family. And I realized that after that happened, I couldn't remember most of my childhood.
Right.
But
Okay.
after I reconciled with him, I was able to access a lot of those memories again. But for
Yeah.
a long time, it's like that was just a blank slate.
Yeah.
um, but two, yeah, I don't, uh, you know, at two, I would have had both of my brothers by then, would have been in the family by then, and we're 18 months apart. We're very close together.
Right.
So
Yeah.
well, actually, I would have only had the one brother.
Yeah.
Um,
Worry for a
but yeah,
2 year
he got all the I think he got a lot of the attention, is what
old.
I'm
Right.
thinking, because he
Okay.
was colicky, and I
Yeah.
think when he came home, I probably didn't really like him because he cried all the time.
Yeah.
I think I was probably pretty much ignored a lot at that point. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And what a 2 year old is going to feel worried about is a very different to what we feel when we're older, isn't it? It might be that you can't find your favorite teddy bear or something, which, when you're that age, that can be a big thing you can feel worried about. So,
oh
okay.
yeah, we all slept with our blankies. We had our
Yeah.
blankies back then. I sucked my
Yeah.
thumb. And that's when my teeth got pushed out front.
Yeah. That happens a lot, doesn't it? Okay. Are we all right to clear this worry? Yes. We can release this now. So we're setting.
Okay. Every time you clear something, I feel a lightness, like a lightness come into me. Like that leaves, and there's like a lighter,
The
yeah,
smell.
like a lighter energy in
Yeah.
its place. Yeah.
That the two most common things that we hear as practitioners is I feel lighter, and like there is that suddenly there's that space, when you declutter and there's that lovely
Yes,
open space there. The other
that's what it is. It. That's what the lightness is. It feels like more
thing,
space. Yeah, more
yeah.
spaciousness.
And
Yeah.
the second thing is tiredness. But often people say, but it's a really nice tiredness, a bit like when you go swimming and afterwards you feel
Yeah.
tired but like stretchy and lovely, and yeah, they're the
Yeah.
two
It's probably
most.
the feeling of the nervous system calming down, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Disengaging the nervous system. That's the fight or flight.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Right, let's do more. Let's bring more lightness for you. Okay, is there something else we need to clear on this cupboard surfing issue? There is. Okay, what's the next top priority to clear on this? Where do we need to go? On the left is a shed. Another prenatal one. So we're dealing with that little backlog you've cleared. And the lovely thing about prenatal trapped emotions and inherited trapped emotions, and there's another one that's called preconception, which is on a soul level, soul or a past life level. The lovely things about clearing these is that you've never known your existence without these trapped emotions. So you had prenatal blaming within you. You'll never have known life without like a very low level of that blaming there. I had I think it was inherited, it was something like inherited hopelessness.
Ooh,
And I never knew life without that. And when I suddenly did this work and released that on myself, it was like my life went into Technicolor. But I didn't know my life wasn't Technicolor until that wasn't there anymore. I
I
was
just
like,
got
oh,
goosebumps. Goosebumps all over.
I was like, God, I thought everybody felt this way, where there's always like a little dark cloud there, no matter what's going on, how good things are. There's always just something. I never knew what it was, but just something like a little darkness over it. I thought that everyone felt that way. So it's so good to clear out these things you came to this planet with, so you can start to step more into that joyful existence, that wonderful life experience. So let's find out what this one is and get this shot as well. Longing, prenatal longing, longing for something or someone. Okay. So did you absorb this from your mum? Yes, you did. This was mum's. What trimester was this? Was it first? Was it? This is actually second. This is a little less common. The middle bit, so months 4 to 6. It's actually longing for emotional mental wellness. But perhaps mum, she was obviously having a difficult time with her situation. And who knows, but perhaps it was just she was feeling emotionally under it, under it all, mentally under it all. So she's having to drop out of college. She's going to become a mum. She's young. So we're setting the intention to clear and release this prenatal longing. That was a bit of a biggie.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that like almost like I am going to do a little burp. Hopefully silent. Okay, we're on number 8 now. What I'd like to do is, so if it keeps saying there's more to clear on this, we'll keep doing that. So we'll do 2 more specifically on this. And then if you're okay with this, I would like to throw this over to your subconscious mind and just do what's called general. And what that does is, so your subconscious mind has lists of priorities. It knows everything about you from forever. It's like a big computer, mainframe computer, and it knows what are the best trapped emotions for you to release for you right now. When we go general, it goes to the number one priority on the number one list, and it might be able to find what I call a log jam that everything else is backed up behind, and we just get that one log and everything can flow out sort of freely then.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's like so many things behind the cupboard surfing. I'm like, no wonder it's been so hard for me to stop.
Yeah, and there could be more. I mean, you know, sometimes with people it's 3 or 4 things, sometimes it's 3 or 4 sessions, sometimes it's 3 or 4 months. You just never know what all that backlog of imbalances is, you know, what logs need to be removed for that to flow through. So yeah, there's a lot here, isn't there? Um, so is there something else to clear on cupboard surfing? Yes, there is. And basically we just sort of keep asking till we get a no. But this is a big dent. This is a good dent for you here. So we'll see what rolls out from that. So what else is there? So where do we need to go with this? Is this on the left? Discouragement. You definitely want to get rid of that one, especially with your life journey you're on at the moment. Don't want to be discouraged. Okay, do we need to know anything else about this? No. So let's just release that for you. We're setting the intention to clear and release this. It's like the sunshine just came out with that one.
Mm-hmm.
We've released that. So one more specific and then we'll go general on the last. This is betrayal. Do we need to know more about this? We do need to know a bit more, so let's just get an age on that. So this is around age 3. Again, it could be 2, 3, 4. Very young one. Could be related to the worry, age 2. Who knows? Do we need to know anything else? We actually don't need to know anything else about that. But just out of interest, does your mind bring anything up? Does that mean anything to you? Probably not, because you can't
No.
remember. No, it doesn't matter because we can just release it. So we don't need to do detective work on that. Can we clear this? Yes. We're setting the intention to clear and release this betrayal. It's interesting. There's some trapped emotions that kind of could be one or another. So sometimes it could be self-betrayal. You feel like you've betrayed yourself. You've overridden your own boundaries in some way. And sometimes it's actually feeling betrayal by another. Lost as well is another one where you either feel lost in yourself, you literally feel at a loss, or sometimes someone's got physically lost. And you know, there's sort of two ways to go sometimes with things. Okay, so all right to go general on this last one then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Great. Is there an absolute top priority Genesis seed type trapped emotion we can release now? Complete top priority for Cynthia. Yes. When we say Genesis seed, it's like that's the start of everything. We seems to kind of pull in good ones. So this is inherited, yes. So now we're going into ancestral clearing for you. Inherited vulnerability. Do you feel, I mean, we all feel vulnerable because we're humans, but do you particularly ever feel a level of vulnerability?
I
Noticeably.
guess in some ways, but in some ways I try to not be vulnerable. I've
Yeah.
heard that it's actually a good thing,
Yeah.
you know, to let yourself be vulnerable. And I've kind of tried to protect myself from that a lot over the years, I think,
Yeah.
because of different hurts I've experienced in different relationships or friendships.
Yeah.
And so I've definitely put up some protections
Yeah.
around that. So it kind of feels the opposite to me. Like I won't let myself be as vulnerable as I used to be.
I totally get that. Yeah. I read the book by Brené Brown. I think it's The Power of Being Vulnerable or something years ago. And
Yeah.
I did my own kind of vulnerability journey. And because I protected myself so much, I was so like controlling of myself. And it cut me off from living life beautifully. And so I did some work at one point where I was working so much on being okay with feeling vulnerable. Um, and it's just so empowering. I think being okay with being vulnerable is a superpower because it
Mm.
absolutely liberates you. So yes, I think vulnerability is very human, but it can also, being all right with it can be very helpful as well. But also getting rid of a trapped emotion of it can be very helpful too, because you don't want it to be there all the time if it doesn't need to be. You know, we have enough vulnerability in our lives without having the additional weight of this, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Um, so inherited vulnerability. Where did you get this from then? Let's see. So Cynthia, this inherited vulnerability. Did you inherit this from your mum? This came to you through your dad. Is dad still on the planet?
Yes.
He's still here. Okay, and did dad inherit this? Yes, from his mum. So from your granddad, your dad's dad. Did granddad inherit this? Yes. Was it from his mum? It was from your great grandfather on dad's side. You got any brothers?
I have two brothers.
Three brothers. Okay. Just because sometimes if there's no brothers, it comes down the male line and then there's nowhere for it to go. It has to go to the daughter. But okay. Does this go back beyond your great granddad? Yes. How many generations back? Is it more than 5? Is it more than 10? Is it more than 15? Okay. Plus another 14 generations. So it's quite a big one back from your great granddad. So around 1538, this got trapped in your family line. In
That's
there
a
a
lot
while.
of releasing gonna happen. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I just think we're doing so much ancestral clearing now at this time. Um, you know, from ourselves. I think our planet's releasing loads of ancestral stuff. There's a lot of good clearing going on here. And what I find interesting is that I've seen with some of my clients, I've noticed that sometimes these things hold a pattern. So each person in the family line that carries this trapped whatever lives out what the original person did in some form or another. So if it's something around money, um, maybe one person in the line, maybe the first person, they lost all their money, but then maybe the next person made money, but as soon as it came in, it went out. And then maybe the next person had so much money, but for some reason, it was negative for them. So it's like same meat, different gravy for each person. So it could be interesting to see if you feel you've had any patterns going on around vulnerability and the stories that kind of play out there. Let's find out a bit more about this. So was the originator who tracked this vulnerability, were they male or female? They were male, so a grandfather a long time ago. And let's find out what life situation created this. So what are you going through with this vulnerability life situation? Actually around relationship of some form. Find out, was this a love relationship? Yes. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends. This was romantic. So this feeling of vulnerability created by something going on in a romantic relationship. Now, with inherited things, Dr. Brad tells a story of where he does demos around the world on stage. And one lady came up, I think she had something wrong with her knee. So he released some trapped emotions. One of them was inherited, her knee. I think got a lot better, and that was all good. Afterwards, a lady who was in the audience came to see him, and she said, I'm a medium. From birth, I've been able to see the souls of people that have departed the planet. And she said, when you cleared that inherited thing on that lady, around you were all the souls of the people in the family line that were carrying that. They were very interested in what you were doing. They were very thankful. They were saying thank you so much that they could also clear this on a soul level. But she said also the room was filled with tons of other souls that were the future descendants that would have had to carry that piece of energy. They came to join as well to witness.
Wow, I got goosebumps as soon as you started talking about that.
Same, I get tingles every time I talk about it. They were all there, all those souls that that energy would have touched in some form
Mm,
were there to witness the release. And
yeah.
so what happens is, so they're all with us now. Hello, everyone. They're all here, all these people. And as practitioners, over time, we start to have this insight. So sometimes we'll hear things, sometimes we'll feel things, and have an insight into the person's story. And often these people, they want us to know more. They want, your ancestor wants you to know more of the story. Sometimes they don't, but more often than not, they want you to know a little bit of the story. So let's just tune in for a minute, and I'll just see if anything sort of wants to be told to you about this, just for a sort of little quiet moment. So whoever tracked this, do you want us to know more about this? Do you want to tell us? So I see this person holding their heart and just feeling a huge amount of suffering, heartache, what we would call a broken heart. Feels like there's longing in there as well in some way. Maybe love unrequited, love that's falling on stony ground type feeling. Thankful of the burden being released. Like putting down a great big heavy weight, this person's feeling. Yeah, it's literally like they've got a big sack of rocks that they've been carrying in front of them, and now they're going to be able to put the sack of rocks down. Thank you so much. Interesting. Okay. Have you got any insight? Did you feel any insight on that?
Mm.
But
Sometimes I forget to ask for help. Like I often don't think to ask for help from my team. And I was just reading in a book again last night about that, how they wait for us to ask for help.
yeah,
And they're willing to help, but we have to ask.
you have to ask. This planet is a planet of free will. So,
Yeah.
there's like a prime directive. No soul can come and interfere unless you ask and interfere with your free will. So, yeah, we have
Yeah.
to give our permission, definitely. It's interesting. I always called my team my crew. And when I became a single mum, I used to say, I'm the captain of the ship, you know. And when I'm going through difficult stuff, or sometimes when clients having difficult stuff, they seem to speak a lot in shipping terms. So I was going through a really dark time, and it was like being on a ship in the middle of a tempest at one point, and they kept saying, hold fast, stand your ground. And I think that's probably like maybe a shipping thing, I don't know, as you pull in the rope, hold fast, stand your ground. Yeah, funny sort of instinct. Yeah. Okay, so this person carrying rocks in their heart, heartbreak, longing, unrequited love type feeling. And so that made them feel very vulnerable, and they've trapped this, and their subconscious mind, for some reason, has thought, I need to hand this on through the family line. So the way inherited trapped emotions come about is at that moment of conception, when that magic spark of light, literally light, happens, we get a parcel of DNA and we get a parcel of trapped emotions that comes into us at that moment. And there's interesting research in the book about inherited stuff where scientists did, it sounds like a horrible experiment with mice, and they they would give the mouse little, I think the mouse was getting shocks. It says they were getting shocks. I don't know if they were going boo or if the mouse was getting shocks. I assume it was getting little electrical shocks, maybe on its feet or something. And every time it was administered with a shock, they would put the smell of cherry blossom in. So the mouse would smell cherry blossom, get the shock. And then they took the mouse away across campus to another laboratory. The mouse had children, grandchildren. They took the grandchildren back to the original laboratory, and they put the smell of cherry blossom in, but they didn't give the mice shocks. But their nervous system, they're all hooked up to monitors and things, their heart rate raised, their nervous system reacted in a shocked way. So it's like that parcel. This is called epigenetics. That's being looked into a
Mm-hmm.
lot now. It got handed from the grandfather. Grandfather's subconscious thought this is a survival thing that needs to come through the family line. So
Mm-hmm.
there is like a sciencey sort of side to this as well. Um, so are we all right to clear this now? So we definitely want to get rid of this. This is a biggie for you. We're setting the intention now to clear and release this inherited vulnerability and transmute it into love. Feels like there's a party going on with that one. Ding, 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 ring the bell. Yes, that has released. So that's 10 things. So how are you feeling after all of that?
Well, I think I should be feeling exhausted after all of that work. But interesting on the last clearing, the ancestral clearing that went back so far, it was like I had this sensation or vision of like muddy water, like, and the water, the muddiness coming out of the water,
Oh, I love
like in
that.
my energy field, like it being murky, and then that, like it was all through it, and then that just kind of like it cleared the
Yeah,
field. Um,
I love it.
so it was more like a broader thing. It was different how I felt the other things.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I feel definitely lighter and more spacious, like we talked about earlier. It's
yeah,
I love anything that works with the subconscious. It's really amazing.
yeah.
I love that.
One thing
Thank you
to
so
say
much.
about inherited things, I've formed my own opinion on them in that I believe that the inherited things we come in with, the prenatal things, and probably the trapped emotions that we go along with as well, but particularly those things at conception, I feel that we've made that part of our life journey on a soul level to guide us to certain people, places, things, situations in life that are our challenges that we wouldn't necessarily get into if we didn't have these inherited things. But actually when we get to those places, those are our biggest lessons, and then once we've done the lesson, then we can do this work and release these things away because they've served their purpose for us.
Yeah,
And they're
that
our biggest
sounds,
teachers, really.
yes, definitely. It was amazing to experience. Thank you so much. That was,
Oh, thank you.
wow. I love it. It's so
Good.
interesting and so quick and
Yeah,
painless.
yeah. That's the thing, isn't it? I feel that people say to me, "Oh, why didn't we have this 20 years ago?" And my belief on that is actually the planet was a bit too dark and dense at that point. We wouldn't have
Mm,
had access to stuff like this. So
yeah.
back then, you would have had to do like loads of healing work, and it
And
would
years
be
of talk
so quick.
therapy,
Talk
which
therapy,
there's so
yeah,
many faster methods like this now than talk therapy. You don't have to relive the trauma. You don't have to talk about it endlessly.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure in some cases talk therapy is still helpful for some people, like
Yeah, but we all it's
that.
good to talk, isn't it? Everything's got its place. But
Yeah.
someone who feels worse when they talk about stuff or when
Mm,
they go back to past traumatic stuff. I've had occasions in the past where I had a bit of talk therapy, and I had
yeah,
some at one point and it really, really helped because I did need to talk. But then I had
exactly.
another
Sometimes you
occasion
do. Yeah.
I had an
But if you're
occasion.
talking about stuff over and over, weeks and months and years later,
Yeah.
and nothing's changing, then you know that that is not that's not the answer for everything. No,
No,
because you
I
want to have
experienced it.
transformation. You want to have real transformation, and not, it doesn't have to take a long time, as you just showed.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'll let you know how I do
yeah,
with my you know the covered surfing
thing.
uh habit. We'll see what it feels like tonight, like if it comes up for me tonight, or if it's less strong, or if I can just stop it in its tracks. I'm very curious to see how I feel tonight.
Give it
What I
time to
do.
roll out. So, one important thing to note is after we have run a session, your subconscious and conscious mind have some work to do now. It's like we've tipped out a big jigsaw puzzle, and they have to sit together and do the puzzle before they can put it in the box and put it away. So, sometimes after a session, you are going through processing, and about 20% of the time, 20% of people may have some form of processing symptom. And that can look like a bit like if you've had a massage or you're doing a detox. So you might feel a bit headachy, you might feel a bit tired and run down. You might notice an essence of some of the trapped emotions we've released as they move through your system. If that happens, just thank them for all they've taught you and just release them, let them go. Make sure you hydrate. It's very important today, tomorrow, particularly. Rest up if you can, if your body's saying rest. And once that processing is done, which is usually can be kind of 3 or 4 days, sometimes a bit longer, that's when you're cooked, as I put it. You know, if I poke you, I'm like, yep, you're done. And that's when, so probably in about a week or so, I'd say check in with yourself, check in with how things are, and just see. You might not. So sometimes we get miraculous results with this work. Dr. Brad does stuff and things do get better miraculously straight away. I have had that with clients, it does happen. But more often than not, this is like layers of stuff. As we clear away
Sure.
one layer, something else might come up that needs to be dealt
Right.
with. But just so notice any shifts. It
Yes.
might not be related to what we've done here, but your subconscious sees it as related. So an
Hmm.
example, sometimes maybe someone again comes to me with a knee pain, we're clear on the knee pain, maybe there's not much change in the knee pain, but a week later we meet up and they say, do you know what, I didn't even notice, I've been feeling quite anxious lately, but I haven't had that this week. Something
Hmm.
shifted. So we look at any sort of,
Right. Everything's so connected, and we don't know all the connections.
that's it.
Consciously know all the connections. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, totally. So we talked about doing another one of these, didn't we? On the body code, which is the next level of emotion code, and we can kind of work through and we can ask your subconscious what's contributing to that and find out with the body code what comes up. But also we could check, I can check in with you as well if we do it in sort of a week or two. Does that sound like a plan?
Yeah. Sounds
Great.
good.
Okay.